us have different accents when we speak. What most people don't realize is that we can have different body accents as well. There are a multitude of body languages waiting to be discovered once you really start paying attention. Something as simple as a walk can be very telling. I come from São Paulo, a place where, much like in Paris, we walk very fast and in a straight line. But if you go to Salvador, in the northeast of Brazil, where the pace is slower, it's the birthplace of capoeira. If you're there and you try to walk in a straight line, like, it's impossible. You're gonna bump into people over and over again because they walk in waves. It's amazing. So you also have to do that and get into the movement. And this comes from history and culture because our bodies are a product of social context. Reading and mapping them out is a way of understanding the social fabric and the collective experience. I pay a lot of attention to body language and the meanings that our bodies can generate because I'm a former contemporary dancer and a social scientist, currently studying international relations. When I was 3, my parents took me to see a dance performance. And they tell me that during the performance, I pointed at the stage and I said, I want to do that. Obviously, I was not eloquent because I was 3, but there must have been something different about the way that I said it, so that the next week they put me in ballet classes. From my education in classical ballet, eventually I moved on to contemporary dance and decided to make that my career. I thought I found my mission in life, the way I could contribute. So I threw myself in the arts and I lived these experiences to the maximum. I poured my heart out into every artistic process. Every premiere was like a rebirth. I don't remember that moment of pointing, but one of the first memories I do have is also from around that time. And I was watching TV with my mom and the news came on. All of a sudden she sat up and she told me to watch. And I could see they were showing these people climbing on top of a wall, hacking away at it and celebrating. And I thought, why are we watching people taking chunks out of a wall? Again, not eloquently, but this was the question that was going on in my mind. And she told me, this is a wall that divided a country, a whole people in two for 28 years. What's going on right now, it's historic. Pay attention. So I said, okay, I sat up, I opened my eyes, and I paid attention to the fall of the Berlin Wall. And that feeling of wonder at all the things that were going on beyond my little world, that stayed with me. I come from a family of political scientists and political journalists, so this was always a strong part of my upbringing. When it was time for me to go to university, I decided to do my bachelor's in social sciences because I also wanted to understand how societies function, how we relate and connect to each other, and find ways to improve the world we live in. And there, this whole universe opened up. I could finally get a greater understanding of my country because I could study in depth how we came to be, how our institutions came to be, and try to project what they could become. Coming from these two traditions of dance and social sciences, this made for a rather peculiar life. I had 2 identities. I was dancer Carolina and social scientist Carolina. And these identities I assumed depending on the context I was in. There was a separation, a border within myself that I had to cross each time. I almost felt like I was hiding something, you know? I could never completely just be. I think probably most of us here know what it's like to belong to two places at once, but not really belong to either of them completely. Now, it's not like my life was in danger or anything. I was fine. But in my drama-ridden Latin American self, this was an issue. It was a source of a lot of self-doubt and soul-searching. I don't know. I think I learned a lot from this. I think once I realized what we could do, everything changed. Whenever I was in one identity, I tried to send a little memo to the other. So after I graduated, I became a consultant and did evaluations of social projects in education in low-income areas in Brazil. And whenever I was doing field work and I had to interview people, I would come in with a list of questions, ask them, and as they were answering, I would try to gather whatever information I could from their body language, and then ask some follow-up questions based on that. And in a lot of cases, this was really the door I found to understand the inner dynamics of a place. At the same time, when I was doing artistic work, I became interested in researching power structures and hierarchies and systems of oppression, how that affects the body, how the body can deal with it. I also wanted the dance company to be present in every single social mobilization that was going on in the country, which might have been a little annoying to the other dancers. But this duality, it happened not only in content, but also in form. One of the dance companies I worked with based their practice in improvisation. For me, coming from this structured way of thinking, this was a complete change. A foreign country even. I remember the director would say things like, dance your spine, or dance your rebellion. And I thought, what? Like, what are you talking about? So he would start moving aimlessly, trying to think about what he had said, but all I could think was, ugh, this is stupid. Where are we going? What's our hypothesis? But really, once you let yourself go and trust the process, you open possibilities. This is creativity, to derive meaning from complete chaos and find connections where there were none. I believe the social sciences have the power to change the human condition. Through them, we change the structures that limit us, and that will allow for people to live to the best of their abilities and find fulfillment. It's a movement from the outside in. And art is a movement from the inside out. Art attempts at first reaching the human spirit through a sensorial experience that will make you think, and that will later move you to act upon your context. They're both means to one end, though it's not usually perceived this way. When I realized this, I thought, oh great, perfect. I've been doing the same thing all along. That angst was for nothing. Not quite, obviously, there are specifics to each field. But today, more and more, we're taught we need to specialize, to be one thing and deliver. But do we really? Artistic research taught me to experiment, to hesitate, to doubt. Art taught me to be comfortable with the unknown and use that place as a propeller. Likewise, good politics not only frames the material world, it dares to imagine the possibilities beyond it. Good politics requires us to be present, with open bodies, unarmed bodies, therefore unarmed minds, to really listen to the other without preconceptions and try to create new solutions to problems we have yet to resolve. That's how we pave way for a culture of peace. I believe in that. Now, I'm also trying to apply that within myself and find peace between my two formative identities. Today, for the first time, I can glimpse at what it would be like to have those borders melt away. So I take my spine and my creative chaos into my work and studies in international relations. It's not perfect. It's a work in progress. But now I accept that we are not one thing. We are a multitude of things. We overlap. Do you have any sides of you that you keep at bay? Don't. Embrace them. Make those borders fluid. Who knows what you'll be capable of doing once you are whole? Think how beautiful and how powerful that would be. Thank you.